Lesson 1: Preparing for Lean Transformation. In this lesson, we will talk about 3 important ideas behind the Lean Transformation. The first is about what Lean Transformation is, what is the framework behind Lean Transformation, and the important engine behind Lean Transformation, which is the Lean Management System. Before we talked about transformation, let us go back and review the concept behind how we can practice this habit of improvement. In order to grow the practice of improvement, it is important to create a feedback that will reinforce the practice. This cycle of reminder oftentimes helps develop the routine and to strengthen the reward or satisfaction that people get out of doing the routine. One way to grow the transformation is to start by working with individuals to develop the routine in our own workspace. We wanted to be able to have people to consciously practice new behaviors every day, as what we have done in the previous courses. Over time, we hope that through these routines or practices, we get to now influence how people think about the way they do things, and hopefully they become part of a habit or an attitude towards how they would work on things. And then finally, we wanted to be able to scale up these individual habits and infect the entire organization, thereby creating now the culture of the organization. What we are now trying to achieve is to promote the idea of transforming the organization using the lean concepts, lean thinking, and improvement mindsets we have been talking about from the previous courses. But what is lean transformation? Lean transformation essentially is a strategic and tactical way of looking how we can help mold and direct the organization towards creating value for their customers. It is a fundamental collective shift of the mentality of the organization through its people to shift away from the usual way of doing business to a more value-driven way, a more streamlined way of doing the services or making the products that our organization is expected to deliver. And the way to do this transformation is a conscious alignment of the strategies that we have, the processes that we align and streamline, and the organizational structure that is needed to promote the practice of improvement within the organization. So why lean transformation? The essence of a lean transformation initiative is that we wanted to start changing the culture of the organization by changing the habits of the people and the organization as a whole. It is about changing the way the organization look at value and how they can now change the way they do things so that value flows to the customer. It is a conscious effort of the organization to identify wasteful activities together, remove or optimize these activities throughout the entire organization. So how do organizations typically pursue this lean transformation? Typically, organizations can begin at the grassroots level, where they work with small teams or small functional sections or sectors, and they try to develop these teams as being a demonstration or a pilot of doing lean or pursuing improvement initiatives. For others, they start from the top and treat lean transformation as a strategic, coordinated effort and that they deploy it down to the different functions. However, regardless of whether you start from the top or from the bottom, the real goal of the transformation is to be able to deliver more value for the customers together. Unfortunately, doing lean transformation is never a straight line. It can be mentioned that almost 70% of transformations fail. And one of the reasons is that transformation or these improvement activities using lean, they don't go deep enough. Most of them are surface level changes, where some people would call them low-hanging fruits. And they try to adopt the lean language and they stop at those activities and call them as their lean transformation. For lean transformation to work, it cannot be fake. It has to be embedded, it has to be felt, it has to be believed, and it has to be supported by everybody. The power of the transformation can only happen when people in the organization believe on these initiatives and these ideas of lean and improvement thinking becomes part of the organization's DNA. When we talk about embedding lean thinking and the practice of improvement within the organization, making it your DNA, we can refer to how Toyota looks at these kinds of thoughts in their own organization. For Toyota, they have these 4 rules of how thinking in terms of improvement can be embedded. They ask questions like how people can work in order to make sure that people know what they should do, when, how often, and what's the expectation. It also covers how people connect to each other, how we should work together in relation to functions against functions, and even the organization with each parties outside of the organization. It talks about how production or how we work can be arranged or constructed and formed to make sure that the way to do it is as simple and as direct way to make the value reach to the customer. And finally, there has to be a way to keep on improving. And that improvement thinking actually is consistent to what is referred to as a scientific method. A scientific method is where you do experiments to learn about how things are and not stick to what people believe of what they are. In order to start our journey in bringing our organization into this lean transformation scenario, we need to have a framework by which we can embrace and use. This is what we refer to as the lean transformation framework. A lean transformation model or framework is used so that organizations can have a guide in how they can actually embrace the need to change the way of thinking of the organization. There are 5 important components that are shared across many transformations involving lean. This framework comes from the Lean Enterprise Institute, and it follows 5 principles. First being a value-driven purpose, which is focus on the kinds of problems you need to pay attention to. Second is a continuous process improvement, or in this case, the practice of improvement that is embedded in the way we do our work. Third, there has to be a conscious effort to sustain capability, help people become better, learn, develop themselves, and that is part of the benefit of people doing improvement thinking activities. Fourth is a lean management system centered in the model, which focuses on the leadership or the kind of leadership that is important to make this transformation happen. And all of these things are on top of the kind of mindset that is needed at the very beginning when we talk about lean thinking or improvement mindset. So all of these things work together via these different elements of our transformation. Using this framework of transformation, we can now begin to expand the way lean thinking can be viewed by everybody in the organization. We now try to identify the kind of problems that we all should be focused on solving, what processes are important and needed to be improved, the kind of capabilities or learning that our people should continue to have and develop further, and the management operating system that is needed to keep all of these components be in check with each other. When we talk about the management system inside our transformation, it talks about the building blocks that will help keep all of these elements together. The reason why we need the management system is because we wanted to be able to promote the kind of behavior and practice that people should continue to have in terms of driving improvements, chasing the value, developing themselves, and making use of the principles and concepts that will help continue to drive improvement practice in your organization. The management system serves as the mechanism to create, sustain, and promote the habit of improvement within the organization. So what is lean management system? Lean management system, in the simplest way, refers to an ecosystem of practices and behaviors of the leader and its people in terms of sustaining and improving the lean transformation of the organization. It talks about 5 basic components which needs to be tied together using this lean management system. Within the lean management system, we have 6 ideas or elements that we need to have in order to promote that active connection among the important elements in our transformation. These 6 elements are the true north, standard work, visual management, people system, leader standard work and behavior, and finally, accountability. When we now attempt to set up our lean management system, the real intention is that the system should promote a learning culture within your organization. It should help sustain the practice and grow and make that practice mature in the organization. It is not just about getting towards the benefit or the savings of the organization's initiative, but rather the focus on maturing the way we think and the way we do things. Hence, we can ask some key questions when you now set up your lean management system. How can you become better in improving value? How can we improve our performance everywhere? How can we engage our people to become better? And how can we promote better accountability and trust among our people in our organization? These questions are important because they promote the importance of developing that learning culture and hence improve the practice of lean and the improvement mindset that we need to have. The first component under the lean management system is having what we call a true north. A true north is a concept wherein we need a guide in which we can bring together the efforts and the importance of having a more focused view of what we want to happen. It is not about what we can do, but rather what we should do in order to get to that point of our aspiration or our future state. It is not a goal, but a concept, an ideal, which you wanted to strive to reach. A true north is not something you can actually achieve, but will help you constantly strive to try to be as close to the true north as possible. Having a true north can become the center of conversation when you talk about the efforts to improve, the initiatives, and the problems that you need to talk about. All of them should bound towards, is this relevant to our true north? As a leader, it is incumbent upon us to always be clear and bring out the company's true north to our own people. The second component of the lean management system is what we call standard work. Standard work refers to the best way that we are agreed in how to carry out a task and how we can actually continue to evolve and make things better. Standard work is not the same as a standard, but rather it helps us define what standards can become. It is about agreeing to doing something that will help us bring better results, and that in the process of doing this standard work, we also do what we call experiments, where we can now make the standards better and better. The third component under lean management is called visual management. Visual management refers to the practice of having visual ways of communicating and giving out signals of what the true performance or status or state is within the organization. Visual management hopes to be able to translate the current situation into easy to understand situations, and that this represents now the scoreboard or a status of how things are. Having visual management allows people, management, and the rest of the staff to have a much easier way of communicating performances, which promotes faster action rather than talking about problems in the beginning. In essence, when you talk about visual management, the real intention is actually to strengthen the feedback by which people know what things are or how things are doing. It also helps people come up with better decision making and actions to be taken because they have clear visual views of what's happening. In the end, when you talk about visual management, it is about enhancing the performance, and that by understanding the real state of the performance allows leaders and their people to act accordingly. The fourth component or element in our lean management system is about people system. People system is about the leaders who will have to build and coach the people to have this problem solving effort or mindset. By developing the people system, we strengthen now the capability of our people to be able to address problems on their own. People system talks about how we reward, recognize, train, even onboard or organize them on how they can pursue these lean practices within their own areas or even across functions in the organization. The fifth component of the lean management system is what we call leader standard work and behavior. The goal of this component is to be able to come up with a system or a practice where we develop next in line leaders. We also talk about the kind of behavior that our leaders, ourselves, should be able to practice in order to help strengthen and support the efforts and initiatives of our own people when they pursue improvements. Some examples of practices that have been mentioned in the past would be something like doing a Gemba work, when you go and see the actual place by which problems or processes take place. In the end, leader standard work is about creating the kind of behavior that is needed to promote and support the people pursuing improvement initiatives. By pursuing leader standard work, we are in a way training our lean leaders to think differently. We want to move them from providing answers to asking the right question, from looking at quick fixes to finding out real causes, and from merely setting goals so that people will follow to ensuring that people understand how they connect themselves in order to promote the better good or the overall goal of the organization. These three essential behaviors are important as part of the leader standard work. The last and important element of the lean management system is having an accountability process. An accountability process is not just merely telling people to be accountable, but rather to have a process by which people can actually know why and how they can be accountable. It is about helping people become responsible for delivering the value that is required from each one of us. Lean management system provides or addresses this need of everybody helping to solve problems that impacts the value that is asked from our organization. Eventually, we see our managers and staff focusing not only on getting work done, but also improving the way work is being done. In the end, when we now talk about lean transformation and how we can shift the culture of the organization, practicing this lean thinking or improvement mindset, it is quite important to consider the kind of leadership that we need to practice and portray. In a lean transformation effort, leaders are called to spend more time in the trenches, in the battleground, with the teams so that they can truly understand the issues that needs to be addressed and add value by helping resolve those issues. The role of the leaders isn't to tell teams what to do, but to unify them around a shared goal and then eliminate any obstacles that can prevent them from achieving it. The key messages out of Lesson 1 are as follows. Lean transformation is about changing culture by changing the habits of the organization. It is the process of introducing changes in the way organization looks at value for its customers. Lean management system is about having an ecosystem that is focused on sustaining and promoting and improving how it practices improvement thinking and lean thinking. Lastly, the power of transformation is only realized when we consciously apply this perspective of improvement, respecting our people, and never giving up on finding value in the organization's activities towards bringing customer satisfaction.